Welcome to an introduction tutorial on the Omniverse Machinima sequencer. I'm going to take you through all the basics of the sequencer and how to kind of get started with your sequences, both from animation on characters, but also animations for props and your cameras. So let's start with a basic overview of the UI. So when you start up Machinima, you're going to have your sequencer in your bottom left-hand corner. This is going to be your start frame and your end frame over here. So my sequence is 900 frames long. If I want to have it 1,000 frames long, I can do that. I can set my FPS that I want to base on. I've got my play, my forward one frame, back one frame, which works with the left and the right arrow for forward and back, and spacebar for play. And I can also select where exactly I want to go up here. I'll talk about some of these other buttons over here after we start adding in some stuff into our sequence. So we provided a bunch of characters and models and animations from our partners. And what you can do is we're going to go ahead and just drag one of these characters in. There's multiple ways to drag it in. I can either drag it into the stage tree like this, and this will actually bring my character up and compile the textures. I can also I can grab another one here. I can actually just drag it straight into my sequencer, and that'll actually make a clip. So these are our clips for our characters. Now, this other character that I drug in previously, I'd also like to drag him in, and he will make a new track with a new clip. The next thing we can do is we can take animations. I've got some emote animations, got emote clapping. And again, I can actually drag those straight onto the character as such. Let's move that guy. So I can actually right click and have an option to select the target. I can actually move him over a little bit. I can also drag in the animation into the stage, and I can apply it with a right-click menu, use selected prim as animation. I can, of course, right-click and select the animation that I'm currently using. I'm currently using Emote Disappointed. I can select a different animation and apply it, or, just drag one in from off screen again. Now he's saluting. When it comes to actual identification on the clip of what you have, we have the name of the target on our left and the animation on the right. And if the asset clip is too small, we have a little icon here to show that there's animation. If this little icon isn't on there, then your clip does not have animation. It is just simply in the stage, which does actually have its uses. I'll show in a minute when it comes to hiding. So now we very easily put animations on these characters. I want to talk about the tracks. So I can actually create another asset track. And I've got this engineer here. I'm going to select the target again. I'm going to pull him actually into a lower track. And I'm going to put the push-ups animation on him. And what you'll see is that it'll instantly switch to a different animation for the same character, because the track is higher. Our order of priority is from the top to the bottom, so the top track will always play. And you can actually see here that if I move this over, he'll be playing the top one, and then he'll switch to the push-ups. You can actually right-click on the tracks and move your tracks up, and now the push-ups track will have priority. Finally, you can right-click and duplicate your clips, so you can just keep on playing. Of course, deleting is an option. We all need to delete things. So let's get down to just our T-posed character here. I'm going to drag him back in. We're going to get push-ups on everybody. And now I'd like to talk a little bit about hiding animations or characters. If I select on this character, specifically, again, I go right-click, select target, and I'm off the track of his clip, and I hide the scale root. You'll see it disappears. And the function is when I go over, you will unhide. So if you have things that you only want to be showing when their animation is visible, and this goes for anything that you put in the sequencer. This could be a static asset. I can go ahead and I can grab a cube. For instance, I can just make a simple asset track, right, where, like I said before, I don't even have animation on this, but I want him to only show up when I want to in the sequence. He will only show up when his clip is visible. Now I'll talk about how to do some more fun stuff like animating that cube and putting them in the sequence in a different video. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the actual clip itself. So if I click on this particular emote clapping, and I go to the Properties tab, I'll actually see that I do have some options over here. The options available are the clip settings to start and end. So if I want to be really specific, where I want this clip to start at 200. You'll see now the clip's actually longer than the source. It'll just stop playing when it hits the end of its animation source. We're looking at this guy specifically. See, he claps and he ends. You can simply move that shorter to truncate your animation on the right-hand side or elongate it. But what's really interesting, if I want to come from the left-hand side, I need to adjust the source animation. So if I want to remove, let's see here. So he's at 200 and at 220, his hands have clapped together. But I want that to actually be the start of my animation. I can simply put a 20 in the source animation. Let's go to 200, and we'll see now we have truncated it by 20 frames at the beginning of the animation. And to simply get back to where we were before, we hit this little blue button here, and now it's the full animation again. So again, like I said, I can remove 20 frames from the beginning, and then I can return to my full animation length. The next thing important about the sequencer is its ability to switch cameras. So we have what's called a shot track, and I'm going to go ahead and add a couple. And I'm going to make one camera from this angle, and then I'm going to do a camera down here at this angle. I'm going to drag this into the shot track and drag my other camera into the shot track below it. Now, as it sits right now, I'm just in camera 01. That's the one I had. But if I hit this little button right here, I will now use whatever camera is the highest priority in the shot track. So when I scrub, let's go ahead and make sure we actually put those cameras in the right spot. There you go. You can see I'm actually switching between the two cameras. And again, we can just simply elongate our clip. And if I want to adjust priority, I move my track up, and now you can see it actually switched the camera. I can move my shot track back down, and it switches the camera again. So this is really nice, as you can imagine, and I'm going to go ahead and make another. I can toggle this off. So I can go back to my perspective camera, and I'll go ahead and make another camera. We'll drag him in and turn my track back on. And now I can see I'm going across 3 different cameras. We can use my range slider again to kind of get in here and look a little deeper, so I can make sure I really understand what I'm seeing. Make that track a little bigger. All right, this is actually the basics of the sequencer. Once you have set up your scene like this, you have things hiding and your shots changing as you want. We do have a convenient button right here that will pull up the movie recorder tool in the right-hand side, and this is how you can actually capture your video as an MP4 or as a sequence set of images, etc. All right, hopefully this gave you a really quick, good primer for how to use Sequencer, and we'll go into more detail in further videos.